One weird animal from every country in the world. So we got 195 countries on this planet, and every single one has at least one animal that'll make you go, yo, natural selection was absolutely wildin' when they made this. Over this series, we're covering all 195, but today, we're starting with 8 creatures so unhinged that you'll question if God was taking notes or just throwing darts at a board. Let's get into it. Indonesia, Colugo, the flying lemur. We're heading to Southeast Asia to meet the Colugo, which people call a flying lemur, except it doesn't fly, and it's not a lemur. So we're literally 0 for 2 on the name, which is honestly impressive. What is it? One of the most aerodynamically efficient gliders in nature. It's got a patagium, which is basically a skin cape stretching from its neck all the way to its fingers, toes, and tail that give it more gliding surface area relative to body weight than any other mammal. We're talking 70 square feet of wing surface on a 4-pound animal. When this thing jumps off a tree, it can glide over 200 feet while only dropping 30 feet in altitude. That's a 7-1 glide ratio. Skydivers with wingsuits would be taking notes if they knew. But here's where it gets bonkers from a taxonomy standpoint. Scientists looked at this thing and went, what even are you? It's got forward-facing eyes and grasping hands like a primate, but it's not a primate. It's got some bat features, but it's not a bat. It was so evolutionarily weird that they literally had to create a brand new mammalian order just to categorize it, Dermoptera. There are only 2 species in this entire order on planet Earth, making it one of the smallest mammalian orders we know of. Now, because the Colugo put all its evolution points into gliding, it's absolutely useless on the ground, like baby giraffe on ice skates level of useless. It can barely walk, but in the trees, unmatched. And the females carry their babies on their stomach while gliding through the canopy 60 plus feet in the air. That's not parenting, that's extreme sports with a passenger. Philippines, Tarsier. We're staying in Southeast Asia because this region clearly said, weird? Yeah, we invented that. Meet the Tarsier, a primate whose eyeballs are legitimately larger than its brain. If humans had eyes proportionally this big, they'd be the size of grapefruits just sitting in your skull. But there's a reason they're this massive. Tarsiers are nocturnal predators, and unlike most night-hunting animals, they don't have a tapetum lucidum that's their reflective layer that makes animal eyes glow in the dark. Instead of evolving light-reflecting eyes like a normal nocturnal creature, Tarsiers just said, nah, let's make the eyes huge, and went with raw photon-gathering power. Evolutionary brute force. And because these eyes are so comically large, they literally cannot move in their sockets. They're fixed, so to look around, the Tarsier has to rotate its entire head 180 degrees in each direction, giving it a full 360-degree field of view. This works because they've got extra cervical vertebrae that gives them more neck rotation than typical primates. My guy's doing full exorcist head spins just to check what's behind him. Here's what's actually crazy though. Tarsiers are one of the only completely carnivorous primates on Earth. They eat only live animals. Insects, lizards, small birds, no fruit, no leaves, pure protein. They hunt by launching themselves up to 40 times their body length between trees using their extremely long tarsal bones, literally their ankles, which is where their name comes from. Their whole identity is big eyes, big ankles, eats meat. And the wildest part? Tarsiers have looked essentially like this for 45 million years. Fossils show almost no morphological change. While the rest of the primate family tree was out here experimenting with bipedalism and big brains, Tarsiers looked at their setup and went, nah, we're good, and kept the same build since the Eocene epoch. Oh, and they communicate partially in ultrasonic frequencies, above 70 kilohertz, higher than humans can hear. They could be absolutely roasting us right now and we'd have no idea. Papua New Guinea, spotted Cuscus. Now we're flying to Papua New Guinea to meet a marsupial that moves like it's loading on dial-up internet, the spotted Cuscus. This is one of the largest tree-dwelling possums in the world, but unlike its caffeinated Australian cousins, the Cuscus went the opposite direction and adopted what scientists call an extreme energy conservation strategy. Translation, this thing sleeps 18 plus hours a day and moves like it's streaming at 240p. It's one of the most lethargic mammals on the planet. But here's what's interesting from an evolutionary standpoint. The sexual dimorphism in this species is so extreme that males and females look like completely different animals. Males are covered in these wild patterns, spots and patches of gray, white, and orange. Females, just solid gray. For years, scientists were cataloging them as two separate species until someone finally observed them breeding and went, oh. Imagine the paperwork nightmare. We've been documenting the same animal twice for decades. The Cuscus survives in the rainforest canopy not by being fast, strong, or aggressive, but by literally just existing in the trees and not moving. Its metabolism is so slow and its movement so minimal that predators basically can't detect it. It's proof that in the right ecological niche, do nothing is a completely valid survival strategy. Honestly, respect. Kazakhstan, Saiga antelope. We're leaving the jungle and heading to Central Asian steppes to meet an antelope that looks like someone randomized the character creation screen. The Saiga antelope. The nose on this animal. Bro, it's huge, bulbous, inflated like a balloon, and just hangs over its mouth like a deflated trunk. It looks absolutely ridiculous. But that nose? That nose is a masterclass in evolutionary engineering. See, the Saiga lives in one of the harshest environments on Earth. We're talking temperature swings from 40 degrees Celsius in summer to negative 40 degrees in winter. That's an 80-degree temperature range, plus constant dust storms that would shred normal lungs. So the Saiga's nose evolved into a biological HVAC system with built-in air filtration. In summer, it cools and humidifies scorching air before it hits the lungs. In winter, it warms sub-zero air to prevent tissue damage. And year-round, it filters out dust particles that would otherwise destroy delicate lung tissue. Tesla's got nothing on this. Elon Musk is somewhere frantically taking notes for Mars colonization. But here's what gets me. The Saiga antelope is an Ice Age survivor. This animal was literally grazing alongside woolly mammoths and saber-toothed cats 20,000 years ago. The mammoths? Extinct. Saber-tooths? Extinct. Giant ground sloths? Extinct. The Saiga? Still here. That nose wasn't just for show, it was the key adaptation that allowed it to survive the climate chaos of the Pleistocene-Holocene transition that wiped out most of the megafauna. Unfortunately, Saiga populations have collapsed by over 95% since the 1990s, mostly because of poaching. So this ancient species that survived the literal ice age and mass extinction events might not survive us, which is honestly disrespectful on a cosmic level. Mexico. Mexican worm lizard. Alright, next stop, the deserts of Baja California, where something lives underground that genuinely looks like God started a reptile project, got bored at 10% completion, and just walked away. The Mexican worm lizard Biporus has a long pink segmented body that looks exactly like an earthworm, except it has two tiny arms. Just two front arms. No back legs, not even vestigial nubs. Just two little paddle-shaped forearms sticking out near its head like someone installed them as an afterthought. This thing is an amphisbaenian part of a group of reptiles that independently evolved a fossorial, or burrowing, lifestyle. Most species in this group lost all their limbs and just became worm-shaped tubes, but Bipus kept the front two specifically because they're biomechanically useful for digging through loose sandy soil. It literally swims through sand using a breaststroke motion, and those arms provide the thrust. It's doing underwater swimming techniques underground. It's also functionally blind. Its eyes are reduced to tiny dark spots under the skin that can maybe detect light and dark, but definitely can't form images. It doesn't matter though, because it navigates entirely through mechanoreception, detecting vibrations in the soil. Who needs vision when you can feel the vibes? And despite looking like an evolutionary rough draft, Bipus is highly specialized. Reinforced skull for headfirst digging, smooth scales to reduce friction, reduced bone density for flexibility. This isn't a primitive, unfinished animal. This is a highly optimized burrowing machine that just happens to look insane. United States, the star-nosed mole. In the wetlands of North America, with something that looks like Cthulhu had a one-night stand with a gopher, the star-nosed mole. This thing has 22 fleshy pink tentacles exploding out of its face like some eldritch horror, and they're called Eimer's organs. Now, before you go, that's nightmare fuel, understand that these tentacles are the most sensitive touch organs in the entire animal kingdom. Each one is loaded with over 25,000 mechanoreceptors. Your entire hand? Both of your hands, actually, only have about 17,000 total. This mole is out here with 100,000 plus touch sensors packed into the space the size of a pencil eraser, basically walking around with more sensory bandwidth on its nose than you have in your whole body. And the speed? Bro, this mole can locate, identify, and consume prey in 120 milliseconds. That's 0.12 seconds, faster than you can blink. It's literally examining 12 different potential snacks per second while swimming through mud like it's on a game show speed round. The star-nosed mole holds the Guinness World Record for fastest eating mammal, and it does this by having what's essentially a biological supercomputer on its face that processes touch faster than your brain processes vision. Living in complete darkness where eyes are useless, this animal said, "Bet, I'll just replace sight with touch," and somehow became more efficient than sighted predators. That's not just adaptation, that's flexing on the entire animal kingdom. India, the purple frog. We're going to the Western Ghats of India, where in 2003, scientists discovered an animal that had been living under their feet the entire time. The purple frog looks like someone took a plum, inflated it with a bike pump, gave it stubby little legs, and called it a day. But here's what makes this thing absolutely bonkers from an evolutionary perspective. This frog split from all other frog lineages over 130 million years ago during the Cretaceous period, when dinosaurs were still walking around. It's so evolutionarily isolated that scientists had to create an entirely new family, Nasicabatrachidae, just to categorize it. It has no close relatives. It's sitting alone on the amphibian family tree. This frog spends approximately 50 weeks per year, that's almost the entire year, underground in burrows up to 12 feet deep. It only surfaces for about 2 weeks during monsoon season to breed, and then immediately disappears back underground. 2 weeks of surface time per year. That's it. Peak introvert energy. Its body plan is specifically adapted for this lifestyle. Bloated body for pushing through soil, tiny pointed head for digging, short muscular limbs. It's not designed for jumping or swimming like normal frogs. It's designed for eating termites in the dark and avoiding literally everyone. The fact that we only discovered this thing in 2003, despite it living in a relatively well-studied area, makes you wonder what else is down there, just avoiding humanity. How many other species are underground right now like, yeah, I'm not coming up, y'all are weird. Costa Rica, the glass frog. From underground, we're going to the treetops of Central America to meet a frog that somehow achieved something that should be biologically impossible: transparency. Glass frogs have translucent skin on their ventral side, their belly, meaning you can literally see their organs. Heart, liver, intestines. If it's a female, you can see the eggs developing. It's a walking biology textbook diagram. Now, transparency is hard to pull off in vertebrates. Blood is red because of hemoglobin. Organs are opaque. Bones scatter light. Most animals straight up can't do this, but glass frogs figured it out through one of the most insane biological mechanisms ever documented. While the frog is resting, it actively hides about 89% of its red blood cells inside its liver, which is covered in light-scattering crystals. This dramatically reduces the visibility of its circulatory system and makes its body more transparent. When it needs to move and be active, it releases those red blood cells back into circulation for oxygen transport. It's playing hide-and-seek with its own blood to achieve camouflage. This is called dynamic tissue transparency, and it's one of the only known examples in vertebrates. Why? Because glass frogs sleep clinging to the underside of leaves over streams. When predators look up from the water, they see right through the frog into the dappled green light filtering through the canopy. The frog becomes invisible through transparency, not pigmentation. It's camouflage on hard mode. Also, male glass frogs are legitimately great dads. They guard the egg clutches, keep them moist, fight off wasps and flies, and protect them until the tadpoles hatch and drop into the stream below. Paternal care like this is actually pretty rare in frogs, so these guys are out here winning at both stealth and parenting. So, there you have it. 8 countries, 8 animals that are so evolutionary unhinged that they make you question if natural selection was sober when it approved these designs. We got a mole with a face full of tentacles that eats faster than you can blink, a glider so weird science had to invent a new category, a primate with eyeballs bigger than its brain doing 360-degree head spins, a possum that survives by sleeping 18 hours a day, an antelope with a nose that's literally better than Tesla engineering, a lizard with only 2 arms swimming through the sand, a frog that's been underground since the dinosaurs, and a transparent frog playing hide-and-seek with its own blood. And this is just 8 out of 195. We got 187 more countries to go, and trust me, nature only gets weirder from here. Subscribe, because we're just getting started, and I promise you the unhinged energy is only going up from here.